A few weeks ago, I decided to reach out to some past clients across different niches because I was curious whether they were leaning into their stories and showing up authentically the way that we worked on together. And what I found genuinely alarmed me because their content images started to look obviously AI generated, their scripts and text looked robotic, and the human texture that built their audience's trust in the first place had quietly disappeared. I even had one past client who used to be part of my membership. She was making obviously AI generated pictures of herself in front of a fancy car and a mansion. Like, talk about breaking audience trust. And I even reached out to a few of them out of courtesy, and they confirmed what I suspected. The AI hype had convinced them to use every new AI tool, and that volume and speed were the answer to growing their brand and business. And that led to more harm than good, with engagement dipping, and for some of them, the consistent five-figure revenue that I helped them to build was declining. And they thought that they were keeping up, but they were actually falling even further behind because, again, they were breaking that audience trust. And this is what happens when you use AI the wrong way. In this video, I'm going to give you three practical things that I personally use to make sure that AI content creation makes my content better without making it sound like everyone else's. First, and the most important, protect the human layer at all costs. So here's what I've come to understand. Information is now cheap because AI can make anyone sound like an expert in anything. You can generate a script, a caption, a full email sequence, and it'll make you sound knowledgeable and polished. But the problem is that when information is cheap, it stops being the thing that builds trust. So what your audience is actually evaluating now is whether they trust the person behind the content. And this is something that AI cannot fake for you. And so what builds trust now is proof. This entails your story, personal experiences, and real evidence from people who actually worked with you. And this is how you use AI for content creation without losing your authenticity. So before you publish anything, ask yourself, where is the human proof in this piece? Notice how I started this video by saying that I've worked with past clients and many have helped build to consistent five-figure months. But not only that, I showed screenshots of it for proof, and on my web pages you can watch real videos like this. And so my question for you is, what are some relevant personal stories and experiences from your own life and business that you can lead with? And how can you prove your client results with photos or videos that only you captured? For me, I share snippets in group settings where clients are raving about their results. I also show long form interviews where they share the results, and then I link their actual social media profiles and websites in the description so that anyone can verify that they're actually real people. In a world full of AI generated testimonials, that level of specificity is going to give you a competitive advantage, and it needs to be there. It's what makes everything that AI helps you create actually credible. The second thing you want to do is to set up a Claude project or custom GPT so that AI already knows your voice. So before you can run any kind of processes with AI content creation, you need to set this up right, because if AI doesn't know who you are, then everything it produces is going to sound generic, and that defeats the whole point. And so this is where most people are losing because they're approaching AI one conversation at a time, and they're starting from scratch every session by re-explaining their brand, their audience, their tone, and then they wonder why the outputs never quite sound like them. And the problem isn't the AI, it's that it was never given the foundation to work from. Here's how you fix that. Open Claude and then click on New Project. You can also do the same thing at ChatGPT with a custom GPT or in Gemini by using a gem. The setup looks pretty similar here, but I'm going to be using Claude for this example. After you click on New Project, you'll see two boxes, one to name your project, and then one to describe what you're trying to achieve. Keep it simple here, something like content creation assistant for the name and a one-liner about your goals in the description. And then hit on create project, and then once you're inside the project, you'll see two things on the right side, instructions and files. Instructions is where you give Claude its standing brief, and so this is what shapes every single conversation inside the project. So use something like this as your starting point, but make this more specific. So you could say something like, you are my content creation partner. You write in a warm, direct conversational tone. My audience is hypothetically mission-driven creators and entrepreneurs who want to build irreplaceable brands in the AI era. Every time I give you a topic or an idea, respond with a draft in my voice using my framework and never sound robotic, generic, or like a typical AI educator. Again, customize this for your own brand and your audience because, again, this is the permanent brief. and then go to files and load in everything from samples of your writing to transcripts from your videos to past social media posts and also your brand guideline documents. Anything that captures how you naturally speak and think and what your brand is actually trying to achieve overall. This is what Claude will reference every time you start a new conversation inside that project. And once it's set up, every conversation begins with AI already knowing your voice, your audience, and your standards. So you don't need to re-explain anything. You just hand it today's assignment. And this right here is going to be the difference between AI that sounds like you and AI that sounds like everyone else. And once you have this nailed, then the next framework can actually work really well. And that is using the 10-80-10 rule. So this is how I run every piece of AI content creation in my business. So you own the first 10% and the last 10%, and AI handles the 80% in the middle. The first 10% is your vision. So before AI touches anything, you give it everything it needs, including your angle, your specific stories and experiences, the outcome that you want, the tone, and the format. And remember that AI already knows your voice from the project that you just set up, but now you're going to give it the direction that it needs for this specific piece of content, because a vague prompt gets a generic output. And the more human specific your input is, then the more human the output is. Then you step back and let AI do the heavy lifting, including the drafting, the structuring, and the repurposing, and that's the 80% where you get your time back. The last 10% is your review, so you come back and you check it for accuracy, add in any specific details that only you would know, and make sure that it sounds like you, because you're not trying to rewrite everything, you're just elevating it. And so the first and last 10% are irreplaceable, and the 80% in the middle is where you let AI do the work. I'm telling you, if you tap into all three of these methodologies, you're going to save so much time and you're truly going to have a brand that feels good to you and continues to make you money. And everything that I walked you through lives inside pillar 2 of my 6-part framework. And so this is how you stay trusted when AI is commoditizing everything generic. But positioning is just one piece. There's 5 other pillars. We got purpose, platform, people, profit, and processes. And when all 6 are strong, I'm telling you, you build something that compounds over time and becomes very hard to replace. I broke all 6 of these pillars down in my free playbook down below that you can access for free. And if you want ongoing guidance and community as you are implementing the 6 pillars so that your brand is irreplaceable and you compound your income while saving time, then check out my AI Resilient Creator membership. Right now, there is a founding member scholarship that you can apply for. One person is going to win an annual membership completely for free. It takes 3 minutes to apply, and the link is in the description now. And if you haven't seen my first video yet, the one where I introduced the full 6-pillar framework, then go watch that now, because it's going to help you get a bigger perspective on what I actually teach and how it can benefit you in this new AI era with becoming irreplaceable. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.